Hello and welcome back. We are the Ministry of the Real Truth, and we are continuing the original Breetah, or Genesis in English, from the original Lishana Artika Supriya of the Assyrian Aramaic or Ketav Ashurai, copied faithfully by monks and scribes around 800 BCE in Urhai or Edessa, modern Turkey. And possibly again around the 1st century AD and the 4th and 5th century AD. We are continuing with Genesis 9, chapter 9, verse 1. And God blessed Noah and his children, or his descendants. Let's have a look at that footnote. 9:1, literal Aramaic idiom, sons or his family. And he told them, multiply and increase and fill the earth, and your mastery and movement shall be upon all the creatures of the earth, and over all the birds of the sky, and all the fish of the sea shall be delivered into your hands. And every living creature shall be for you a source for food. It's still a source for food. They're not eating them as of yet. As we said in the earlier video, we pointed out that the source of food really to be eaten or sacrificed. I give you everything as the foliage of the herb. Only the flesh whose soul is in its blood you shall not eat. So what does that mean? Anything that had a soul, only the flesh whose soul is in its blood you shall not eat. Okay, the soul is in the blood. Okay, God's saying that you can't eat that. Okay. Aha, okay. Yeah, its life basically is in its blood. It's a living being. You shall not eat. For that blood will be required of you from the blood of your own souls, from the blood of each creature it will be required by the hand of the human being or a man and his brother. The soul of the human being is required. So there's like a comeuppance, a payback for anyone eating those animals, those living souls. Whoever spills human blood, by the human his blood shall be shed, because in the image of God Adam was created. Okay, so that's another payback. And you are to multiply, increase, and bring forth offspring on the earth, and grow therein, or thereforth. And God said to Noah and his children, his sons, or his family, together with him, take note, listen up, I will make my standing. Okay, here, 9:3, it has a footnote down here. NB, take note, not to be killed and eaten, but to eat of its products. These animals, etc. Like animals' byproducts, like you have milk from goats, cattle, etc. Maybe even sheep. And you can use that to make butter, cheese, curd, C-U-R-D, curd, etc., etc., and just say cheese, and eat that, right, as a source of food. But you can't kill that animal and eat that animal, and you can't sacrifice it unless God requires you to. Okay, gives you permission to do that, or requires it for a sacrifice in honor of Him. And God said to Noah and his children, or his sons, family, together with him, take note, I will make my standing. 991, literal Aramaic idiomatic expression, stand my standing. It's a weird way of them expressing something. Okay, so perhaps it's like a covenant or something. I will make my standing with you and with your progeny afterwards. Your seed, your descendants, together with every living soul with you, and with the birds, the animals, and all the creatures of the earth with you, with everyone that emerges from the ark, and with all the creatures of the earth. So it's like he's making a covenant, he's making a promise. And I shall make my standing with you, and I will neither wipe out any flesh by the flood waters again, nor will there ever be a flood that destroys the earth again. Because remember, he wiped that out, because all men were evil. Okay. They're totally mad, going insane with their evils. And God said to Noah, this is the sign of the covenant. Nine 12. Literal Aramaic idiomatic construction, standing that I give you between me and to all of you. That's a covenant, right? It's his promise. And I will neither wipe out any flesh by the flood waters again, etc. And God said to Noah, this is the sign of the covenant I make between me and you and every living soul with you to the end of all ages of the universe. 912, 2 Aramaic idiom, centuries, till the end of time, right? To the end of time, the end of the universes of the universe. That's how the Easterners put it. I will give my rainbow to the clouds, and this will be the sign of my covenant with the earth, with the inhabitants of the earth. 913, literal Aramaic idiomatic construction, my standing between me and over the earth. And it shall be that when I raise the clouds over the earth, the rainbow will be seen in the clouds. It's a reminder of his promise. And I shall recall my covenant, he'll remember it, with you, with Noah at the time, and for you, and with every living soul that is with you, and his sons and family, and with every flesh, the descendants to follow. Because remember, there's only like 8 of them. They came out of the ark. Only 8 people on the earth. Everyone else has been wiped out. And never again will the waters of the flood destroy all flesh. And then the rainbow will be in the clouds, and it shall be seen as a memorial of the resurrection pertaining to live everlasting between God and for every living soul of every flesh upon the earth. Is that supposed to be life, or is that how it's translated as pertaining to live everlasting? Not too sure now. And God said to Noah, this is that sign of the covenant, or that promise that I established between me and for every flesh upon the earth. First Noah and his sons and family and their wives, Noah's wife, and then their descendants and the rest of mankind to come. And the sons of Noah that left the ark were Shem, Cam, and Japheth. Cam became the father of Canaan. Noah had these 3 sons, and from them spread everyone on earth. 919, literal Aramaic idiomatic figure of speech, was sowed or scattered. From them came descendants, okay, the rest of mankind. who spread out all over the earth. And Noah began to work the earth and plant a vineyard, and he drank of his wine and became drunk and exposed in his home. And Cam, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and showed him to his two brothers. There's supposed to be some sort of rubbish online that says that he was black, or he was turned black or something, because he saw his father's nakedness and he did some dirty deeds, etc., etc. We don't believe that because it's not written here anyway. It's not detailed here. Okay. There's theories, you know. So said claims. Shem and Japheth took a cloak and threw it over both their shoulders and walked backward and covered their father's nakedness with their faces averted to the back. So I guess they looked the other way. Okay, looking behind them or something. And they did not see their father's nakedness. Yeah, they must have been looking the other way. Supposedly this... Yeah, okay, we'll just leave it at that. And Noah sobered up from the wine, he recovered next morning, and knew everything his younger son did to him. Probably because... What's that? And Noah sobered up from the wine and knew everything his younger son did to him. What did he do? Okay. He saw the nakedness of his father and showed him to his brothers. That's all he did. He didn't cover him up or anything. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of strange. It says his younger son did to him. What did he do to him? He just like walked in, saw him naked and walked out, and he told his two brothers. Okay. And he said, "Cursed be Canaan to perform services for his brothers." Okay, so he's going to be a slave to his brothers. Okay, that's his curse. Probably being the oldest, he's going to lose his birthright. He won't be the heir. He'll end up being the servant to his younger brothers. And he said, "Blessed be Shem, whose God is that Lord." He's a master. God is your master. "And let Canaan be the servant to him." May God magnify Japheth, and let him reside in the house of Shem, and let Canaan be their servant. So you'd have to look at who exactly was Shem and Canaan. Who were their descendants to follow? That could probably indicate exactly who those people were, instead of making rash assumptions. Oh, that was the Egyptians, that was the African Americans or whatever, you know, or that sort of stuff. You need to find do the personal research, okay, establish the facts as fact, the evidence, let the evidence prove itself evident, verify that these writers or these copyists are irrefutable or infallible, and then their writings as such will be deemed infallible and irrefutable. Infallible or irrefutable. You've got to do that personal research. And Noah's line lived after the flood 350 years. That's talking about his lineage, his line of descendants. Okay, he may have had more sons and daughters. Okay, and Noah's entire age was 650 years, and then it ended. Okay, so what it's talking about is his lineage. It's not saying his age was 650 years and then it ended. Right? His age didn't end. Anyway, it would end if he died. Okay, it's not indicating that by the looks of it. Genesis 10. And these are the birth records of the children of Noah. Okay, these are the sons. Shem, Cam, and Japheth, to whom was born children after the flood. Okay. So they had children, so he was a grandfather. The children of Japheth were Gomer. These are the sons I was talking about. The descendants of Japheth were Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshach, and Tiras. Okay, and there's a footnote indication there, as you can see. So we'll have a look at that. Who exactly were they? 10.2.1, literal Aramaic name, Germans. Okay, Gomer, Germans. Magog, Anglos, Anglo-Saxons, right? Madai, the Medes. Javan, Greeks. Tubal, Meshach, and Tiras. 10.2.5. Little Aramaic names. The last three names do not resemble any names that the translator was familiar with at this time. It would take some more it would have taken more research to find out the correct transliteration of the modern derivatives. 10.6, Aramaic name. 10.6, Aramaic name. Okay, because here it says, and the children of Gomer were Ashkenaz, probably the Ashkenazis, Ashkenazi Jews, Riphath and Togarmah. And the children of Javan were Elisha, Tarshish, and Kittim, and Rodanim, or Kittim, and Rodanim. And from these separated those that became the isle of the nations in their language, according to their culture and among their own people. And the children of Cam were Cush, Mitzrayim, Put, and Canaan. 10.6 literal Aramaic names, Egyptians. Okay. Mitzrayim, the Egyptians. Okay, they do have another name, I forgot what it was. Okay. Maybe it's like Mithraim or something like that. Yeah, here it's got Mitzrayim. It's referring to the Egyptians. And the children of Cush were Sheba, possibly Ethiopia, probably not. Some say it is, some say it isn't. A lot of the maps point out that it's Ethiopia, the region of Ethiopia. Where Sheba, Havilah, Sabta, Ramah, and Sabteka, and the sons of Ramah were Sheba and Duran. Okay, this name here, I don't know if we mentioned it. We mentioned it in another video, but we probably forgot to mention it in the video before this. Havilah. Havil was the name of Abel in the Aramaic, right? As Cain was Cain. Okay, so Cain kills Abel, and he buries him, hides him from his body from God, from everyone, right? Didn't want to be discovered in some part of the Garden of Eden or Paradise. Okay, gets found out. Looking at the old maps, we come across these old maps, and it said Havilah is the region of Kuwait. Today's Kuwait, modern Kuwait, right? So he was buried in that region somewhere. It doesn't indicate exactly where. And to Cush was born Nimrod, okay? Or Nimrod. Victor N. Alexander, his middle name is Nimrod because his grandfather was called Nimrod, and it goes right back to this actual guy. Their lineage goes right back to this actual guy, and supposedly the Jews that came out of Egypt via the Exodus. He was a lion-hearted giant before the Lord. That is why it is said, like Nimrod, a lion-hearted giant before the Lord. Very powerful, okay? Very brave. And he was the head of his kingdom, which included Babylon, Erech, 1010, literal Aramaic name, possibly where the name Iraq came from. Although Iraqis are predominantly now Arabs, the name may have survived in the folklore of the minorities, the descendants that still inhabit the land of ancient Mesopotamia. Probably the original inhabitants, maybe, or maybe those original inhabitants from way back, okay, that had been occupied that region for centuries. Where are we? Okay, and Nimrod was the head of this kingdom, which included Babylon, Erech, Akkad, and Calah in the land of Sumer. They reckon we've come across some claim that there was no Akkad, there was no Akkadians, it never existed, but here in these original scriptures it details that there was a place called Akkad. From those lands there emerged the Ashurai. Okay. That's the Assyrians, okay, who built Nineveh and the towns of Rehoboth and Calah, and Rassam, the great city between Nineveh and Calah. And to Mizraim were born Ludim, and Namim, Lehabim, and Caphtorim. Yeah, this is the Egyptians, right? The descendants who became the Egyptians. That's their forefather. Where were we? Okay. So look. 1025. 1025. Don't want to put you wrong here. 10. 10. 2. Okay, Meshach and Tiras. Is that correct? 10:6. Yeah, Mitpram. Okay, so it's talking about the Assyrians, and to Mizraim. Okay, it's different. Where were we? It's Mitpram, which is the Egyptians. Okay, it's another descendant here. Trying to find out where he is in this list. Okay, Mizraim were born Ludim. Okay, what are the descendants of Noah's sons? Descendants, by the look of it. Into Mizraim were born Ludim, Anamim, Lehabim, and Caphtorim. Into Pathruzim and Casluhim, from whom emerged the Philistines and the Cappadocians. And to Canaan was born Sidon, his heir, and the Hittites, and the Jebusites, the Amorites, the Girgashites. It says ites. It's basically meaning peoples. Like you have the Israelites, the Cushites. Yeah, that's relating to people. And the Jebusites, the Amorites, the Girgashites, and the Hivites. Okay, hasn't got any indication footnote, even though there's one there, who the Hivites were. Can't see it there. The Arkites, the Sinaites, and the Arvites, the Zemarites, and the Hamathites, and after that the tribes of Canaan spread out. And the Canaanite lineage spread from Sidon to the outskirts of Gedar and until Gaza, to the outskirts of Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim, until Lasha. These are the children of Canaan, each according to their tribes, their languages, their land, and their people. That's Canaan. I don't think that's a mistake, or it's supposed to be Cam. Yeah, I think this is a descendant. Can. And to Shem, Japheth's great brother, there were also born children. He became the father of all the children of passage. There's a footnote there. So let's have a look at that. (1021) literal Aramaic idiom, the Hebrews. 1024. Okay, he became the father of the children of passage. The children of Shem were the Elamites, the Ashurai, the Arpachshadai, the Lotians, and the Aramaeans. Okay, so the name, footnote indication, the children of passage, 1024 literal Aramaic name, Hebrew, comes from the name Awur, to cross over. Someone who crosses over, implying passage. Supposedly, these people crossed over the river Jordan and merged with the inhabitants, the Hebrews there, something like that. That's what we came across. Okay, not too sure if that's what it's implying as well. Somewhere they crossed over great waters, implying passage. Could that be those of the Exodus? We shall hopefully find out about that later on. Okay, where were we? And to Shem, Japheth's great brother, there were also born children. He became father of all the children of passage. The children of Shem were the Elamites, the Ashurai, that's the Assyrians, the Arpachshadai, the Lotians, and the Aramaeans. Okay, that's where the Aramaic language supposedly originated from Aram, their forefather, their great ancestor, who spoke that language. And the children of Aram, here we go, were Uz, Hul, Getha, and Mash. And to Parshad was born Shelah, and to Shelah was born Eber. Footnote there. 24. Okay, the Hebrew, literal Aramaic name Hebrew, which comes from this name. Hebrew comes from this name, Awur, to cross over. Somebody crosses over, implying passage. So that's where your Hebrews originated from. Heber, often in the modern Americanized Bible versions, it's got an H in front of it. Heber. Okay, here it has Eber, or Eber. And to Eber were born two sons. The name of the first one was Peleg, because during his age the land was divided, and the name of his brother was Joktan. And to Joktan was born Almodad, Shelef, Hazarmaveth, Jerah, Hadoran, Uzal, Diklah, Abal, Abimael, Sheba, Ophir, Havila, and Jobab, and all these were the children of Joktan. And the foundation was Menisha in the area of Mount Sephar in the east. These were the children of Shem, according to their tribes, languages, lands, and according to their peoples. These are the tribes of Noah, according to their births, tribes and nations, and from them split off the nations of the earth after the flood. So that's where all the names came from. Okay. So these Magog, in Revelations, etc., they are the descendants of Noah, known as the Anglos. And their descendants are probably the Anglo-Saxons, etc. Those who conquered Britain, etc. Genesis 11, and the whole earth was one language, and everyone spoke the same dialect. Footnote there, what did they speak? 11.1, literal Aramaic idiomatic construction, and all the earth was one tongue and spoke one. Okay, there's a guy claiming to be Yahweh, etc., son of God or a son of God, hint hint, the actual son of God. Okay, it's this movement, everyone's following him, but he's declaring that if you're not full African, you can't be part of that this movement. Okay, but African Americans who are mixed blood, mixed race, they're embracing it, right? And he tried to say that the Tower of Babel, when all the people were dispersed, they spoke. Okay, here it says that they spoke. The whole earth spoke one language, right? Okay, even there, as follows, right? But he's trying to say that when they were confused by God and had all these different languages, right? So they wouldn't understand each other. Gave them these different languages, and then spread all over the earth, right? This one lot of people had this original language. They kept it. Wrong, because it says here to follow, and the whole earth was one language and everyone spoke the same dialect. And some other group said that when the people were dispersed, they also had this one language and this records of this family and all this book and all this sort of stuff, right? Which is part of this Mormon church, Mormon book, Latter-day Saint book, the Book of Mormon, etc. Right? It's all detailed in there. Okay, people making up these different claims, saying, "Oh yeah, we're the ones," all this sort of stuff. Okay, and the whole earth was one language, and everyone spoke the same dialect. And as it was that they came from the east, they found an empty spot in the land of Sumer or Shinar, and they settled there. There's a footnote there. They came from the east. 11:1, 11:2. Literal Aramaic idiomatic figure of speech took from the east. Yeah. They found an empty spot in the land of Sumer and they settled there. And they said a man to his friend, or one to another. They were all united, right? That's when man was all united. They had no problems, right? No racial tension or segregation or anything like that. They were all didn't care. They all worked together, right? And they said a man to his friend, again, let us cast bricks and burn them in the fire. And bricks became their stone, and they used bitumen for mortar. That's like a form of tar. Okay, that's for it's like cement, right? It's a base that keeps everything together, right? Goes hard, keeps everything together. And they said, let us again build ourselves a city and a ziggurat. That's Persian name, right? For a mound, or like a tower, okay, or a temple, with its head in the sky. So it was like Empire State Building, right? In ancient days, probably way taller. And let us call ourselves by a name. Footnote indication there. 11:4, literal Aramaic idiomatic expression, make a name for ourselves or use a national name. Let's call ourselves a tribe or a peoples or a nation. So we do not end up scattered all over the earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the ziggurat that humanity had built. So it's talking about God, or aka Yeshua Mashiach, Jesus the Messiah, before he was incarnated in the flesh and became known amongst men as the Messiah. Yeah. Came down to see the city and the ziggurat that humanity had built, or the tower. And the Lord said, whoa, look, the people are one people and there is one language for all of them, and this is what they thought of doing. How ingenious. From now on they will not be at a loss to do whatever they imagine. Let us go down, so he's talking about two or more. Go down there and divide the languages so that men will not listen to the companion's tongue. 11:7, an idiomatic expression retained, heed each other. They won't understand each other. What the hell did he just say? Can't understand what the hell you're talking about. Where are we? Yep. Their friend next to them. that they usually spoke with, one language, they no longer will be able to understand them because there's numerous different languages being given them. And the Lord scattered them from there over the face of all the earth, and they left off building a city. So there was a big division created, right? Mankind was no longer united. They were divided, as they are today.